To participate in an AmeriCorps service event. We are delighted to and honored to have guests like Professor Christopher, Professor Heather, and they will speak as we go along. Please be safe. We have a first aid kit. If you want, please stay hydrated. I think there's some water bottles as well, so use that. Some of our SEWA volunteers already know about SEWA, but I'll spend a few minutes to talk about it. SEWA International is a non-profit organization dedicated to humanitarian services. We aid communities in distress, undertake developmental projects for the underserved, and facilitate transformative changes through innovation. We are all part of the Central Jersey chapter of SEWA, and we have been actively engaged in numerous environmental stewardship initiatives, leading to the acquisition of an AmeriCorps NJ State Planning Grant in Environmental Stewardship for Middlesex County. This grant will support our efforts to execute conservation efforts and establish rain and pollinator gardens in Middlesex County. In 2023, last year, we received the 9/11 National Commission of AmeriCorps Service Day grant. This grant serves as a tribute to our heroes and the victims of 9/11 by supporting environmental justice initiatives within local communities. We collaborate closely with AmeriCorps and forge partnerships with numerous local organizations to achieve this goal. From that grant, this service, SEWA Day of Service initiatives have arisen. A project spearheaded by SEWA International USA. Like today's endeavor is all of these are centered on honoring heroes by fostering unity through service with the aim of constructing resilient communities. We encourage all of you to volunteer for future events with the Central Jersey of SEWA International. Through these collective services, we aspire to build and fortify our community bonds. So that's a little bit about SEWA. I wouldn't talk a lot about Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership when Professor Heather speaks. I think she will go into the details, but today's event is in collaboration with them. So thank you for that. Now, let me introduce our speaker, Professor Christopher Obropta, and he has graciously asked me I can call him Professor O, or Dr. O, which is great. So Dr. O. And so Dr. O is an extension specialist and director of the NJ Water Resource Research Institute and professor with the Departmental of Environmental Sciences at the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences, Rutgers University. He has a doctorate in civil engineering from Stevens Institute of Technology. Before joining Rutgers, he was an environmental consultant for 12 years, and he has a background in watershed management, water quality modeling, hydraulic modeling, and coastal engineering. With that, I'll hand it over to Dr. O. Take it away.
Okay, thank you. Can you all hear me? It's okay? Yes? Back there? Good? So there's handouts here. I don't know if you want them. I was told I really can't do a slide presentation because there was no place to put the slides, so I'm just going to talk to you guys today. My background is civil engineering, but I've been working as an environmental engineer for many years now. I've been at Rutgers for about 20 years. It's a great school. I teach environmental engineering there, so if you're interested in becoming an environmental engineer or civil engineer, great school for that. You want to be an environmental scientist, excellent school for that. A good landscape architecture department, right? And a very good environmental science department, and lots of great stuff there at Rutgers. So right here in your backyard, so you don't have to go far, and we've got a great football team, undefeated this year. Granted, we only played 2 high school teams, but eventually you're going to have a really, really good year. So I work for the Rutgers Cooperative Extension Water Resources Program, actually run the program. So Rutgers University is a land-grant college for the state of New Jersey. So what that means is our job is to kind of get information out to the people of the state. So that's what Extension does. We extend the knowledge of the university out to the people of the state to solve their problems. So I focus on stormwater management, so flooding, water quality, making sure the lakes are clean. That's a lot of what I do. So when it rains, that water runs off the land. It gets absorbed by plants. It soaks into the ground, and it can evaporate. But what we care about is what runs off the land. You can see all around us, all the parking area, all the parking lots, all the rooftops. Every time it rains, all that water goes off those surfaces into a catch basin, right into the Raritan River. Okay, so what my group is trying to do is we're trying to fix that problem, because every time it carries pollution away from the land, it's carrying pollution into the waterways. So a lot of the pollutants are oil and grease from the cars. We've got nutrients from the lawns, fertilizer. We put fertilizer on our lawns, and the fertilizer has nitrogen and phosphorus in it to make the grass grow. When that gets into the stream, it makes the algae grow. When the algae grow during the day, they take in CO2 and produce oxygen, so they're pumping oxygen to the water column. At night, they respire and take in oxygen. So dissolved oxygen in the water column starts going lower and lower and lower. And in that stream, we need dissolved oxygen for the fish to live, for the little bugs to live on the bottom of the stream. And once that dissolved oxygen gets down below 1 part per million, all the fish start dying and floating to the surface. So this is why we want to keep all the nutrients out of our waterways. Leaves and grass clippings, the same thing. That gets in the waterway, releases nutrients. We have other kind of pollution. You can see in the slide number 6, there's a little picture in the center, the geese. Canada goose is a tundra species. It lands in the water, walks out, and feeds on the grass. The average lifespan of a goose is 26 years. One goose will produce 10 pounds of feces a week. So it's really bad for the environment, the geese, but you can't really hate the geese. You know, they're just an animal, and they do what they do. But you can hate the people who create the goose habitat. When we mow the lawn right down to the water's edge, that's perfect goose habitat, because they land in the water, they see the grass, they walk up there and they feed on the grass, they defecate on the grass, and all that washes right back into the river. If you leave a buffer around that lake, 3 or 4 feet high, the geese land in the lake and they can't see if there's any predators there. So they go to somebody else's lake, right? And that's what we always want to happen. We want the geese to go to somebody else's lake, create somebody else's problem, right? So this is what we're trying to accomplish in a way. So I do a lot of work with helping towns build things to actually manage stormwater. So I'm going to talk really quickly about rain gardens. I do have a couple things here for you. Like if you go over to the table over here, I have these rain garden flyers, okay? And we also have a rain garden manual. For the old people, you can download the PDF, and for the kids, you can download the app, okay? So there's actually a rain garden app that we created from University of Connecticut, created for us. You go into the app and you can actually go in and design a rain garden for your house using the app. We had middle school kids do this in Bridgewater, design a rain garden for the middle school, and we actually went out and built it with the kids. It was great experience, right? So a rain garden is it's very simple. When we do landscaping in New Jersey, we often pile a mound of dirt on our front yard and put plants on it, right? So somebody started thinking about this and said, well, wait a minute, instead of doing that, why don't we dig out a shallow depression, we divert water from the rooftop or the driveway or the roadway into that so it's self-watering, and we put in native plants. So now we've got a rain garden. Shallow landscape depression, fills up with 3 to 9 inches of water when it rains. That water slowly percolates into the ground. The native plants are all pollinator plants, so we're attracting bees and butterflies, which is really important. We have some trees maybe in that rain garden, so the trees will help shade the community, so you get rid of that heat island effect. Towns like Highland Park, because we have so much asphalt, so much black rooftops, absorbs the heat. And at night, it takes a long time to cool down. So when we have trees that create shading and opportunities to shade those areas, it becomes less of an impact. So these are things that we're building now in Jersey. We actually have a program where we do rebates with people, where we'll give an educational program about a rain garden, about 45 minutes about how to design one, how to build one, and then we would actually design a rain garden with you. You would build it at your house, and then we would give you a rebate up to $400, sometimes $600 to build a rain garden. So it's a pretty cool project. So the big thing with this is that we're trying to recreate what we see naturally occurring in the environment, right? So we know when you go into a forested area and it's raining, very little water makes it through leaves. That forest absorbs a lot of the water, right? So these are things that become very important. So how can we mimic that in this environment? So we do that with the rain garden. So you think about the rain garden as being like a little forest area, a little natural landscaped area that's going to treat and manage stormwater runoff. Now, why are we doing that? Well, 95% of our waterways in the state are impaired. I mean, they're not meeting water quality standards. 95%. So we also have a lot of flooding that occurs. The last Hurricane Ida, about 25 people died in the flooding. So this is a really kind of important thing to deal with, right? So What we're trying to do now is we have to fix that problem. So New Jersey has a lot of great regulations. So if you're building a brand new development, taking out a farm, or you're ripping down some trees and forested area, and you're building housing, the state has requirements to make you manage that stormwater. What the state doesn't have requirements for you to do is to manage stormwater of a thing that's already built. There's no stormwater management at this site here. There's no stormwater management across the street. So what are we going to do? If we want to fix the problem in New Jersey, we have to go back in and retrofit these existing areas with stormwater management. And how are we going to do that? The best way to do that is with a rain garden, right? So every single parking lot island we could turn into a rain garden. Every parking lot we could turn into what's called porous pavement, where the pavement is actually a porous material, porous asphalt. Water goes right through the asphalt into a stone layer underneath and seeps into the ground. Another great way to get water back into the ground and stop it from running off the land. So we can do this in our urban areas, but it takes people like yourself to understand how it works and to advocate for it, right? It also takes us to be able to train young people like you to be this next generation of scientists and engineers who are going to deal with the water problems, right? Because as soon as all my colleagues are old guys, right, they're going to retire, and when you retire, you got to go to Florida or Arizona. I think that's required in New Jersey. And when we leave, somebody's got to come up and take over. So what my program does, about 50% of our programs run around the state helping people solve their problems. The other 50% is training the next generation of water resources professionals. We have 10 to 15 full-time undergrad students we hire over the summer. We pay them $20 an hour. They're running around the state. They're helping us identify where rain gardens should go. They're helping us build rain gardens. They're looking at sites or maintaining stuff with us. They're doing stuff on mapping on the computer, and they're learning how to do this stuff the right way. So the old-time engineer, we were taught in college, when I went to college, it was asphalt and water doesn't mix. Keep it apart. Now we're saying, well, wait a minute, we could have a porous asphalt and we can store water under the parking lot so it goes into the ground without creating potholes, without destroying the parking lot. We could do two things at once. And the old-time engineers, that makes their head explode. They only want to do one thing at a time, right? So you have to be very careful as we're trying to get these guys to think about things a little differently. So there's some plants in here that we use. We use a lot of different plants for these rain gardens. There's a lot of grasses that we use, warm season grasses that kind of grow in clumps. We also use a lot of wildflowers. Okay, and all the wildflowers we use are native, and the idea is that that's going to attract the butterflies and bees. The native plants, the root system is much deeper than grass. If you dig out a piece of grass in your front lawn, the roots are only a couple inches. You dig out some of these native plants we're putting, the roots are 2-3 feet deep, and what that does is that opens up the pores in the ground and gets the rainwater back into the ground, and that's what we want to do, is get that rainwater back into the ground. So that's what I'm here to talk about. I don't know what else I can say to you guys. I wanted to make this quick because it's hot as hell out here. If you guys are interested in hearing more about Rutgers, you come up to me afterwards. I'd be glad to tell you a little bit more about what's going on there and try to encourage you to think about it. It's a good school to go to. Obviously, if you can get into Harvard, you should probably go there first. But I think Rutgers is a great second choice. If you can't get into Rutgers, maybe you can get into Princeton. That might be okay too. But Rutgers would be a great opportunity, I think. So I think that's where. How many of you guys are studying to be? What, you guys are in high school? What's the deal? Yeah. Okay. What high school? What? Okay. Okay. What's that? There you go. So I guarantee you, somebody who went to Rutgers, or you got a sibling that's going to Rutgers, or your cousin's going to Rutgers, or your neighbor's going to Rutgers. It's a great school. I've been there 22 years. Before I went there, I was an environmental consultant making a lot of money. I took a pay cut, went to Rutgers to be a professor, and I never regretted a minute of it. Dealing with students and helping students kind of find their way is really important. I've got students who started with me as an environmental engineer, then they wanted to switch into environmental science. They realized they didn't want to do all the math that engineering required. I had students that came to me and started out as environmental scientists and became landscape architects. They liked the idea of being more creative with plants and identifying how they could make places that can also manage stormwater, and that's been really a great experience. So I learned a long time ago when I started working in this field that as an engineer, I needed to work with scientists and landscape architects. I didn't know everything. So when I go to design a rain garden as an engineer, I think in terms of circles and squares. And somebody told me I needed to build a rain garden that's 200 square feet in size, so I built a rain garden that was 20 by 10, a perfect rectangle just like this table. And my wife came home from work and she said it looked like a grave. It threatened to throw me in it. She said, that's not what a garden looks like. It's supposed to be kidney shaped. It's supposed to have curves to it. So this is why we work with landscape architects, so they can show us how to do it the right way. And now we've learned a little bit from them, but we still rely a lot on them to be able to do this work. You guys have any questions or comments? Yes. Okay, so good site for a rain garden. So a rain garden, the idea with the rain garden is you're going to capture water and get it back in the ground, okay? So you want to you got a basement on your house. You need to put it at least 10 feet away from your house because you don't want water going in the basement, right? You also don't want to put it right next to your house. If you don't have a basement, you don't have water right next to your house because it can cause mold and mildew. So a couple of feet away from the house. We try not to plant them under trees because when you start digging under trees, there's a lot of roots there, so we disturb the roots, we can kill the tree. But the idea is we're trying to get a downspout from the roof into the garden. So that's going to water the garden, or we're trying to divert the driveway runoff into the garden. So you need a spot where the water's going to go, where you can get the water there easily. You can pipe it there, or you can dig a little channel to get it there. And that's what we're really looking for. You can build a rain garden in full sun, full shade, it doesn't matter. We've built them in the shade, beautiful ferns, even some flowering plants in the shade. It's been great, So there's a lot of different ways you can do that. So yes, that's a big piece of it. Anything else? Excellent. You guys are great. Nothing? Yes, sir. How long does it take to what? So a rain garden, actually, it depends how big it is. So I tell a story all the time. My mother-in-law used to come over every Saturday morning, right? And I had 3 young boys, and, I would take them to soccer, and my mother-in-law would watch the ones that were staying home, and my wife would be over teaching aerobics. And one day my mother-in-law came over, there was no activities for the kids, so I said, what are we going to do? And I said, we're going to build a rain garden. So I handed her a shovel, and we went outside, and we started digging it out in the morning. Now my wife came home from aerobics, and I've been married a long time at this point, married about 6 years. And every time at dinner you talk about work, right? What are you doing at work? So she says to me, what are you guys doing? And so we're building a rain garden. And she looks me in the eye and she says, what's a rain garden? What's a rain garden? I've been talking about this every night at dinner for the last 3 years. What do you mean, what's a rain garden? So I explained to her what it is, right? And she goes, that sounds great. Let's go pick out some plants. So we left my mother-in-law digging it out, right? We went to the nursery, garden center, bought some plants, had a nice romantic lunch, came back, laid the plants out, gave my mother-in-law a tuna fish sandwich, and then she finished building the garden. It was great. Easy. Half a day. This garden was about 150 square feet in size. Typically, a homeowner rain garden is anywhere from 100 to 200 square feet in size. You're digging down about 9 inches into the soil. You're getting rid of the grass and hauling that away. And then you're digging down, you're getting rid of that dirt. So you need a place to put that dirt. Sometimes we lay it around the garden and make a berm around it. And then we throw some mulch in, throw some plants in, and we're good to go. So the big trick is trying to figure out which plants you want to put in. That's the tricky thing. And you have to remember, too, it's a garden. So, I put plants in the garden this year, and then next year I look at it and say, yeah, there's too many irises. So I take some irises out and I put something else in. It's a garden. You always change it, Now, you have to weed it, too, and you have to water it in the beginning. Eventually, it'll be self-watering, but in the beginning, you have to water it. So it's not too much work. The problem is if you don't weed it, just let it go, then after a year or so, you're in trouble. It takes a lot of time to weed it. But if you weed it a little bit every couple of weeks, it's not a big deal, What else? What's that? For school? Oh, yeah. So we build gardens all over New Jersey at schools. People ask me, well, why are you doing that? And they think because we're educating kids. Well, yeah, that's part of it. But it's more like children are free labor for me, And a lot of especially elementary school kids, because they're smaller, they're shorter to the ground, easier for them to plant. They're closer to the ground, So it's great. So we build gardens at elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, pretty much everywhere in New Jersey. There's some towns where there's a lot of clay in the ground where water won't go into the ground. So we wound up putting a perforated pipe underneath it, pipe with holes in it, about 2 feet down, so the water will filter through the garden, get cleaner and cleaner, gets to that pipe, and that pipe takes it away, right? So even in clay soils, we can build rain gardens. It doesn't matter. So we've done that stuff. I'm not sure if we've done anything in Monroe. We've done a bunch of gardens in Edison. Metuchen. There's gardens here in Highland Park. We built a bunch of gardens at Hillsborough schools. There's some down in Princeton. So there's a lot of gardens everywhere in New Jersey. You can go to my website. My website's really easy. It's just water.rutgers.edu. You go to the website, look for rain gardens. It shows you where all the different gardens are. Some great pictures of them. You guys want to do something at your school? You can give us a call. Let us know. See what we have. Because we have funding all over the state. So the way it works is I'm a Rutgers faculty member, so I'm paid for by the university, but I got 11 full-time staff who work for me, and they're all on grant funding. So we get a grant to do a project in a certain area, and then we're working on that project. So if we have money in your area, we might be able to come in and help you build a garden. If not, we could at least help you design one, and you guys could raise money on your own to build it, you know. So that's something we can do. We've actually come out with students and had them, you know, had the school. We're doing this right now up in Morris Regional High School, where we did a design for them, and the school's dug out the whole garden, and we're going to go back in a couple of weeks and work with the students to do the planting, oversee the planting, you know, so that's going to be part of what we're going to do. So, yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun. What else? Anything else? Yes. Midwest. Okay. Where? Okay. Yeah. So actually, I think Wisconsin had a rain garden manual that we stole from New Jersey. Like they had a rain garden manual, and the Native Plant Society of New Jersey came to me and said, "Hey, we got this rain garden manual from Wisconsin. Could you make it a New Jersey manual?" So we took the manual and we adapted it from New Jersey and created one for New Jersey. It actually was kind of our first attempt, and we've kind of redone the whole thing since then. But these work everywhere. I've got colleagues across the nation doing this stuff. So we're actually having a meeting at the end of the month up at the University of Connecticut to talk about green infrastructure, not just rain gardens, but coarse pavement, other things like that. And I got people from all over the country coming to that meeting, or they're going to Zoom in to the meeting. So there's a lot of this work's going on. North Carolina State does a lot of research on this. University of New Hampshire has a whole stormwater center. University of Wisconsin in Madison, they're doing a lot of this work. We have Washington State has a stormwater center. So there's folks in Georgia, Iowa, all over the place doing this work. So sometimes it's hard to find people at the university who's doing the work, but we're there, you know. But a lot of us kind of hide in our office and stuff. Well, not me, but a lot of guys hide in their office, and they're hard to find. Because, you know, a lot of faculty members are lazy, you know, but not me, but some of them are, from what I understand. So, what else? Is that it? Yes, sir. Yeah, okay, so what's the impact of a rain garden? So typically we design a rain garden to capture the first inch and a quarter of rain. 90% of the rainfall events we get in New Jersey come in storms that are less than an inch and a quarter. So if it rains, you wake up the next morning, you'll find that that storm probably dropped less than an inch and a quarter of rain the night before. Typically we're designing these rain gardens to take 3 to 4 inches over 24 hours. So we're designing them a little bit bigger, right? The rain gardens we design will take runoff from a 1,000 square foot driveway, 50 by 20, and it'll capture and treat and infiltrate about 34,000 gallons of water a year. So, so you start adding them up, and you can really start having an impact. So you get about 40 rain gardens, you get about 1 million gallons of stormwater a year. So the idea is it's not one garden that's going to matter, it's a whole bunch of them, right? So there's old Chinese proverb, the mighty waterfall begins with one drop of water. So we're trying to capture every drop with our rain gardens, is what we're trying to do. So, so the idea is if you put one in, and it looks beautiful, your neighbor asks you what is it, and you convince them to put one in. It's kind of like the rain barrels. We used to do these rain barrel workshops, and at Rutgers, and we'd have people come in, and I'd have students get the pickle barrels, and they'd have to clean them out. And we found that it'll take about, one student will clean out 50 pickle barrels before they'll quit. So that's what we found out. So it's a very sticky job, very bad job. So we were doing these rain barrel workshops and bringing rain barrels all over the state. And people would come in, they would drill the holes, they'd get caulk in their hair, the kids would climb in their barrels or roll them down the hill. And there's always somebody who wants to take 2 barrels in their Prius and try and understand that 2 rain barrels do not fit in a Prius, and I have to follow you home in my pickup truck, right? But these people get home with the rain barrels, and they hook them up, and they get a little bit crazy. They start yelling at their neighbor, how come you don't have a rain barrel? And neighbors trying to go get the mail, and they're harassing them, and they're trying to advocate for this around their house. Next thing you know, they're calling me up, and they want a rain garden at their house. They want a porous asphalt driveway. They want a green roof on their house. So the rain barrel doesn't do a lot to manage stormwater, but it does a lot to build environmental stewardship. Okay, and what happens is when people have a rain barrel, they feel like they're doing something, right? And they want to do something more, and the rain garden's the next thing to do, right? So that's what we're trying to get people to do. So we often refer to the rain barrel as the gateway drug to stormwater management. So, but it works out really well. So, what else? Okay, I'm totally melting. Yes, sir. Yeah, well, we're not getting the storms like you get in India. We're not getting the typhoons where you get 44 inches of rain over 2 days. We're not getting that here. Rain garden's not designed to capture the 100-year storm. It's not going to do much for that. But we can put enough rain gardens in when you get 2 to 3 inches of rain in New Jersey to stop localized flooding. So I live in Hillsborough, and I got to come across the Millstone River. There's 3 ways I get across the Millstone River. Whenever you get more than 1.25 inches rain, there's only one of those ways is open. So I have to wait in traffic an extra hour to get to work, an extra hour to get home. If it's Friday night, what has to happen is Friday I would have to get home at a certain time because I have to bring pizza for my kids because they go to Taekwondo. So if I forget those bridges are closed, I'm late getting home, the kids don't get pizza, they get the Taekwondo hungry, and then my quality of life for that weekend is ruined. It's all about my quality of life, right? So so we could fix that localized flooding that happens. When you get 12 inches of rain in New Jersey, you just got to get to higher ground. We're not going to be able to fix that. We can, it's going to cost a lot of money, but we're not going to fix it with rain gardens. Okay, we're actually working on some designs now in Hillsborough Township to try to prevent floodwaters from going to Hillsborough into Manville, in which case we're looking at putting underground storage. So taking the Tractor Supply parking lot on Route 206, putting rain gardens in to treat the first few inches of water, and underground having these big pipes underground to hold the water. And we're trying to hold the entire 100-year storm till way after the storm and let it out when the stream can handle it. And now you're talking about $6 to $8 million project, right? And people say, well, where are you going to get that money? And I remind people that, well, it was about a year ago, we were shooting down balloons that were flying over our country for about $8 to $10 million. So maybe we stop shooting the balloons now, we can start building these projects. So anyway, so that's it. Yes, sir.
In Highland Park, we have some of the rain gardens, maybe a different name downtown, where it takes water off the street, runs it in.
Yeah.
Can you build one of those in front of your house near the road? And
Sure.
So can you get permission?
Yeah, so that's the question. Can I take water from the roadway and put it in a rain garden in front of my house? You got to put a curb cut in. It's a great idea to do it, but you have to get permission from the town to do it. Make sure they allow you to do that. Some towns won't allow you to do that. Other towns just don't care. So the rain gardens that you have here up on the roadside, they're also called bioswales at times, where water's coming through and carrying water. So bioswale, the word swale is a nice word for ditch, and bio means life, so it's a ditch with life in it. So it's meant to convey water from one location to another. A rain garden is really meant to capture water and hold it and let it soak into the ground. So we do have stormwater planters built into the sidewalks, curb bump outs built in the road, which are more like rain gardens, capture water and let it go into the ground. So those work out very well. You see a lot more of those in places like Hoboken, Jersey City, Newark, Perth Amboy, Patterson, because those towns have combined sewers. So there's 21 cities in New Jersey have combined sewers. So you flush your toilet, it goes out to the pipe in the middle of the road, it goes to the wastewater treatment plant. It rains, it goes into that same pipe. When we get any more than a 1/4 inch of rain, usually in those towns, that pipe can't handle that flow, and it overflows a slurry of human waste and rainwater into the local waterways, like the Raritan River. Perth Amboy does this, into local waterways, into the streets, into people's basements. It's not unusual in the city of Camden for them to have to pick up toilet paper off the athletic fields before they play on the weekends because they've had a combined sewer overflow. So this happens today in New Jersey. It sounds medieval, but we're fixing it. We're working on fixing it. It's going to take some time, but over the last few years, we really focused a lot of attention on trying to get these eliminated. So you're going to see a lot more rain gardens like you have here in Highland Park along the roadside in those areas because of that. So good? Okay. Thank you.
So for the high schoolers here, Professor has a quiz now. a surprise quiz. So are you guys ready for that? No, but jokes apart, I think this is a very important topic for all of us. So thank you for that. Now we also have Mr. Matthew Hirsch. He's the council president at Highland Park. So thank you for coming. Mr. Hirsch is professionally, Mr. Hirsch is the director of policy and advocacy at the Housing and Community Development Network of New Jersey, working daily with the governor, the legislature, and the community development leaders from around the state to enact legislative efforts to increase housing affordability and production. He was previously a long-time journalist and reporter and professional writer. Mr. Hirsch previously served on the Highland Park Borough Council from November 2016 through June 2018, where he chaired the borough's Health and Human Services Committee. I'll ask him to speak for a few minutes, please.
Thank you very much. What an honor to be here, and congratulations on an amazing day of service to SEWA International, Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership. Highland Park does so much work with Heather and the team, and we're so happy to be host to the boat building workshop that you see here now. My name is Matthew Hirsch. I'm just regarding school, your next academic pursuits. I am an alumnus of Middlesex College and Rutgers, and look, now I'm council president. So, whatever route that you choose to take, as long as you kind of keep your head down, work hard, and stay focused, I mean, that really is the key. And I think what we're hearing today really helps, you understand the world around you and the part that you're going to have to play. So I'm also, on the council now, I'm the chair to the Public Works Committee. So Public Works oversees the Environmental Commission, Sustainable Highland Park, and we do a lot of, we work on a lot of our environmental, forward-thinking proposals. The rain gardens that you've heard about on 3rd, 4th, and 5th Avenues are an example of the commitment to environmental stewardship here in town. But even there, it doesn't stop there. Those rain gardens need constant maintenance. We do a lot of education and learning about the types of plants that need to go in, the types of native plantings that need to go in those rain gardens, how they're maintained. You can't just mow them. So, we rely so heavily on volunteers and folks like yourself who have just shown a commitment to environmental stewardship. I did want to, really just mention also the, when it comes to, finding that connect. I consider myself an environmentalist, but not by trade, it's not my job, but just as far as a commitment to the environment. We are a river town here in Highland Park. And historically, we don't have a lot of a direct relationship with the river. So that's why things like the boat building workshop, efforts to really create a walkway, from Donaldson Park to Johnson Park to really connect people with their environmental surroundings. If you go take a walk along the river, I mean, you can see, dozens of different types of, birds, dozens of different types of wildlife, plants. It really is beautiful, and kind of finding that connection with the environment just through our day-to-day activity, whether it's we're walking down there, riding our bikes, will really help. That type of infrastructure really helps develop our connection and our appreciation to the environment. So when you can't see it, you kind of forget it's there, and then you might not be as committed to protect it. If we can have people actually go down and experience experientially the waterfront, the types of plantings, the native plant reserve, which we have right here in town, that provides more of a direct connection. It provides an opportunity to learn, and ultimately it provides an opportunity to really give back and volunteer, which is why your presence here is just so important. I did just want to mention one other component of being of where your community environmentalism can really take action. This summer, Highland Park hosts a regular day camp for school-aged kids, and many of our camp counselors are Rutgers students, who come back for the summer to work at the camp. This year, one of our camp counselors is an environmental history major here at Rutgers, and for their civic engagement week, he led the campers through a boat tour along the Raritan through some of our streams. We have a lot of little streams that are on the tax map, but they're not named. And so what he was able to do was work with LRWP, go down, explore those streams, and then really and have the students really take ownership of that project by naming the streams. So the next step was the camp counselor came to the environmental commission meeting, reported out on their work and their findings, and made a recommendation that Highland Park officially adopt these names for the streams. So it was just so exciting for me because it was the series of events that you really need to have someone really kind of show you, lead us to the water, and then really help us engage and take ownership. I mean, I think that's really it. We talk about stewardship, but it's also just about ownership, feeling that pride that we have when we can come and really improve environmental outcomes, in Highland Park. We're fortunate, we're up on a hill here, but we do have flooding, and our rain gardens, do make an impact, particularly along Route 27 here. But there's so much more to do, and we really look forward to learning from Heather and LRWP and all of you to really show us the way, so we can make the right decisions for the next generations. Because it's not about tomorrow; it's about it is about tomorrow, but it's also about the long term. So your participation here is so greatly appreciated, and please reach out to us anytime. And thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Can you hear me? Hello? Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. This was wonderful, especially the concept around taking accountability, stewardship for these kind of causes. Very important. So thank you for that. So now I think I will finally handing over to Professor Heather Parekh, and then let me just should I just Fenech, Dr. Heather Fenech, should I just quickly give a quick introduction? So here you go.
Yes. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm Heather Fenech. I'm on the board of the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership. We have a number of board members here. I see David. Where is David? If you want to raise your hand. Deanie, where is Deanie? Deanie, over here. Missy, Alex, Amy. So we're all on the board of the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership, and if you have questions about how to get involved, although you all are involved with the work that we do, but if you do have other questions, talk to one of us. And I want to thank you all for coming out. I see a lot of familiar faces. Thank you to all of the high school students who have volunteered your time, not just with the boat build, but also I see, where is Shelley? I see a number of other folks who have come out to join us for our pathogens monitoring work as well. And I know folks have come out for our cleanups. How many of you have come out for cleanups with the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership? I see a number of hands raised. So what I want to just say a few words about is making the connection between what Professor Chris Abrupta was talking about in terms of the issues of stormwater runoff, and making a connection between the service piece that Councilman Hirsch was talking about and what we need in town in terms of service to support really sustainable communities, and the work that you all are doing in partnership with us, which is absolutely service and stewardship. So the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership has a tagline, supporting a culture of science and stewardship. And that stewardship piece is really, for all of you, I hope, not just the act of giving back, but also an internal act of making these connections between building boats and the pathogens monitoring that we're doing on the Raritan, and the stormwater runoff that we're addressing by implementing rain gardens and by cleaning up our streams, getting the trash out of our streams. What I hope all of you are doing is starting to think ecologically. pedagogically, starting to see the full circle of the contributions of your hands to affect change that affects what you see in your own town, in our towns, and in the environment. So with that, what I want to do is identify some of the folks today who are going to help you do a little more stewardship. Today is a day of service and stewardship. So we have Nick here. Many of you know Nick, who has helped out with boat builds for the past year or so. We have Captain Derek. I don't know where Derek is. I think there he is, yeah. So Derek Hartwick. And then we have a group of AmeriCorps folks who also, we just met today, but they're going to be helping us with another project. So today we have basically 5 different projects, or stations, as we've been thinking of them, for service. So we have inside the boat shop, our boat build. I think most of you have had a chance to get your hands on the boat and to work on creating the cedar strips or doing some of the varnishing or something of that sort. We'll have more demonstrations inside the boat shop, and I'll let Captain Derek talk about that in a minute. We will have a station over here with a pyramid of barrels, and I promise they don't smell like pickles. I've cleaned them all out myself. So these are the rain barrels that will be distributed throughout towns in the Lower Raritan in partnership with SEWA. We will be, my understanding is putting logo for SEWA, for AmeriCorps, and the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership on each of these barrels, along with designs. And we'd like you to help us paint one of the barrels today, and we'll also do a demonstration with our AmeriCorps rep of how to assemble a rain barrel. And then after, at about 3:30 or so, 3:15, 3:30, we're going to hitch up the trailer here with boats and do a little caravan down to Donaldson Park. And at Donaldson Park, we're going to do a mini cleanup. And where's Jocelyn? Yeah, Jocelyn with the Rutgers hat in the back and the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership turtle. Jocelyn's going to be showing folks how we do the work of monitoring the water for the presence of pathogenic bacteria, disease-causing bacteria in the water. So that's the other station down at Donaldson Park, in addition to the cleanup. And then for fun, folks will get out, if we have a chance, folks will get out on the water in one of our vessels. We'll have a chance to do that, okay? So that's going out on the water can also be service, so that you can think of going out to look for perhaps outfalls that are discharging some of that stormwater runoff. That's one of the purposes that we'll use these vessels for. You can also go out and capture samples from on water, do center channel sampling. That's one of the purposes that these boats will be put. And just know that the work that you've done in creating these boats and helping us out with these rain barrels, in doing the cleanups, are part of that full circle set of activities to make for a better environment now and in the future. So, Derek, do you want to describe a little bit about what you'll be doing inside? And then when Derek is finished with his description, then if folks just want to go to one of our stations that we have set up here, and then that's that. Yeah. Derek will. Derek, yeah. So I do want to share that we have, for anyone who is driving down to Donaldson Park, we have a permit for you to put on your dashboard. So make sure that you pick that up at the table over here. We also, at the table, we have these great new shirts. Just picked them up from the printer yesterday. They have paddles on the back. Many of you have been involved in helping create the paddles. And then also there's information about an auction that we just launched where we're auctioning off some paddles and we'll be auctioning off this canoe. So the auction is now live. It will close on Earth Day 2025 in recognition of our 10th birthday. So I guess with that, again, you've all seen the board members, so feel free to chat with us if you have questions, but I'll turn it over to Derek, Captain Derek, right now. So thank you. Oh, okay. Okay, we're going to have Jeremiah with AmeriCorps talking about some of the work that you've been doing with FEMA. Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name's Jeremiah Slackwells. You may have seen us around. Can you hear me? Am I? Yeah. All right. You may have seen us around at the Veterans Home if you were back there. It's very nice to see a bunch of fellow volunteers out doing the good stuff today. I just wanted to talk real quick about the organization that I'm a part of. So I'm part of AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps is a very large organization at the local, state, and federal level. I am part of a subgroup of it called the National Civilian Community Corps, or NCCC. We are a 10-month live-in volunteer program for 18 to 26-year-olds. So pretty much you'll be at that soon, which is why I wanted to jump up and say something. So the program is divided into 3 different categories, but the overarching idea is you sign up for 10 months and you would be traveling different parts of the country depending on the program that you're in, doing rounds of volunteer work, and then there are 3 different kind of sub-branches that you can be a part of. So there's Traditional Corps. Traditional Corps is very hands-on in the community programs, so things like building houses that are needed in the community, maybe after a disaster, for example. There's a lot of environmental conservation efforts that they get into. There are a very large variety of different volunteer opportunities. There is FEMA Corps, which is what I'm part of, and the rest of the team that I'm in is part of, and we're focused more on helping out during, after, and before disasters specifically, so disaster relief. And we work specifically with FEMA, as opposed to traditional, which can work with a bunch of different organizations. And then there is a new program, which is coming out, either has come out or is going to come out soon, called Climate Corps, and Forest Corps, and they're focused a lot on climate change. They're based out in the Pacific, so you would be in the Pacific region, over in California, Washington, Oregon. They go out, they help maintain our forests, and they're very much focused towards climate change. So those are some of the different NCCC programs, and the basic idea is you would be part of a team of about 6 to 8 people, like my team. You go out for about 2.5 months to 3 months per round. You do 3 rounds, and you would be in the community, working with the community, or working in a forest, or working with FEMA, depending on what you're doing. You'd be living with your team. You would be eating with your team. So it's a very, very large commitment in that regard. You're very much all in. The program will help. Will be paying for a lot of that. So it just allows you to be the volunteer. And then there's a couple of benefits that you get. There's benefits like Education Award. So right now, the Ed Siegel Award, which is the award that you would be getting at the end of your term, goes for about $7,000, and that would be towards educational programs, so things like vocational schools, things like college, university, whatever, anything like that. In FEMA Corps specifically, we have something called Fast Track Hiring, so if you're interested specifically in disaster management, you can talk with FEMA recruiters, and they have an entire kind of program to try and get you into FEMA. So there's several benefits in addition to just being part of the American community and serving for 10 months, giving back to your country, stuff like that. So if you're interested in learning more, you can either go onto Google, Bing, whatever, AmeriCorps and CCC. You'll find it. Also, if you want to talk to any one of us, we'll be happy to talk to you. So yeah, any further questions, just talk to us, right?
Let me just thank you so much. We're just, what a treat to have AmeriCorps here. They do such great stuff. So I'm going to just thank you, Jeremiah. It's nice to meet you and the rest of your team. And thanks for your service to the AmeriCorps folks as well. And Derek, I'm going to get you up here.
So I'm going to be brief, but I do want to start with over the last 3 years, we appreciate all the volunteers that have come from your organization and have helped us out. I know there's a lot of you, but how many have any of you here been at our sessions this past year? Yeah. Oh, I recognize some of you. But today's exciting because hopefully you'll have a chance to go out in the boat that you helped to build. So for me, that's exciting to see people who have come over the last year or last few years helping out and actually building the boat. We started the program with the intention of trying to connect people with the river, building boats to get people on the river, and we've had other boats donated since then. The LRWP has bought some boats. We've done paddle builds. So we'll have an activity today. If you want to come in, we're at a stage where we're going to be putting another coat of epoxy on. We're also going to be teaching some knots in there. And if, I know you can participate, you can come and go as you please. Nick is going to be here working inside. And anyways, glad you all came today. It's exciting to have you all here. So if you have any questions about how the boats are built, if you don't know, just ask us when we're in the inside. Thank you.
A huge thanks to Captain Derek, because if it weren't for him and for Nick and for Brian, who's not here, none of us would be here, right? So thank you. So I would love to introduce a very special guest. Come, Mayor. So Mayor Elsie Foster Dublin, who the LRWP has had a chance to go out, to convince to come out with us to do some pathogens monitoring last year. And so I know that she gets what it is that we're talking about in terms of trying to make sure that we're doing right upstream in our neighborhoods with rainwater capture, so that we aren't polluting our rivers and streams in the Raritan River. So thank you so much, Mayor. I'll let you say a few words.
Good afternoon. And I'm happy to see so many people here on this hot, sweat, and sticky afternoon, and your T-shirts and the big sign that says volunteer. And I think it's one of the greatest things that you can volunteer for, because water security and water insecurity is a real thing. And you guys get it. Because if you look around the world, as some parts of sub-Saharan Africa and some parts of Asia, where water is, the ocean has taken over, and it's now salt water, and you can't get clean water anymore. What you're doing here helps us to protect the future of our waterways. It helps us to protect the future of clean drinking water. And as I don't have to tell any of you, because you're volunteers, that water is the life source. And if we protect our life source, we're building better for the next generation and the next generation. I had the opportunity to go out and to watch and see how the water was collected and the pathogens and algae that they looked for. And I think I walked away and I was really amazed. I went back and I did read the material. And I was informed and I was enlightened. And then a few weeks later, I started reading much more about water and water insecurity globally. And I was like, what an awesome thing that you're doing, because we talk about climate change and everything else, but protecting our waterways and protecting to make sure that we have clean water is the most important thing that you can do. So thank you. I hope you expand. I hope to see you all more here in Highland Park, that we can do more great things on the Raritan River. Thank you. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And I think all of you know that it's the incredible generosity of the mayor, the Borough of Highland Park, that we have this space to work out of. You know, so we are so grateful for use of this space. So, yeah, thank you. So I think at this point, huge appreciations to everyone. And yet, but you know what? We haven't really done much of the service part of why we're here today. So what we're going to do now is, we have these 2 stations here at the 101 Raritan site. We have the rain barrel painting and rain barrel assembly. And then inside, where it might be a little bit cooler, we have Derek and Nick set up to help guide us through some of the boat building. So with that, I'll just say a huge thank you to you all for coming out, and look forward to seeing you on the water in about 45 minutes or so. We'll head down to Donaldson Park. Thank you.
Are all of you doing the work, or can somebody do recording for you?
I can record. And then we also have, so we're going to talk all
I want to.
No, we'll do it. Let them do it.
Wait. What we'll do now is I think we'll probably want to do it.
Watch out.
You guys can just put these on.
Just make sure that we don't put paint on it, okay? So shade is not coming on that. It should have been this side.
Yeah, pull it back.
No. This way. So sun is yeah, like this.
Stay. That's enough. That's good? We can get one more.
You can fold. I'll get the picture. This is good enough? Right?
Abby, you also I'm recording.
Okay, you do it then. If you have to do.
No, I don't have to.
Okay.
Do the logos, and Avi and I will do a counter or whatever it is.
Yes, okay. So you know those are 2. And we have to finish in 25 minutes.
Okay. 25 minutes.
2 more 5 minutes.
This is going to be
And
very...
then say you want to take another one, then you can start on that.
Okay.
Okay, guys, you are starting up or doing it?
Yeah, so two to a band, and then once you guys have it up, I'll help you with the copy. I don't think that's
I should be able to do it. You need paper?
yeah, so if this that's until this one.
You start with the top or the top? Go with the top. Make sure the top is on the bottom. I'll get the
We got 25 minutes.
you only need one, right? Yeah. I mean, which side is inside and which is outside the side?
Sorry, that one. Yeah, you could, because this one.
What happened?
Yeah, do we try the American logo? We can do that one. You guys can do the other one? Or, if you guys can draw that? Pretty simple. Okay.
tools here?
Tools?
Plier or anything?
No, I just use my hand.
Yeah.
You're good. Sorry, I'll let you know when I go. I'm sorry, I'll take it. Sure. Oh, logo. That looks great.
This is where it's like mostly from the top.
Don't forget Santana.
You don't want any. Yeah, I think this is could be water. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah, this is the water one. No, but look. Okay. Yeah.
That's what this is. So you can kind of use that and also give them some the two sides like spread out. To some extent, yeah. This one's the same. This one and the other boat we have out there. Someone with a roller want to get up here. This little spot here, I can see doesn't have any resin on it. You want to get some stuff right up here? Oh, yeah. How's it going, guys? Be good? Yeah, so there's, is there more in the bucket or no? Try? Is there more in there? Yeah, nice to meet you. Jocelyn? Nice to meet you. Sorry, I was just very curious. I'm moving lunch. Oh, okay. That sounds good.
18 to 26 for board members, but a team leader can be huge. So we have field team leaders who are people like my team leader out there, Melanie, who actually go up and lead teams of board members. And there's also support team leaders who stay back on campus and provide kind of administrative help and assistance for the and that's the first one. So need a little bit more. Just right now. There. Come across. How's it going, guys? You pretty much.
Just take it. That's like very deadly. Hold on, let me take this one.
I did just ask you what those two guys, I know. Then you'd never have me.
Or if you go with whatever. Go with someone with okay. And then we have.
The good thing about a lot of people wanting to get on the river is a lot of people want to get on the river. Two, the bad thing is we only have so many spots, but we'll do 2 rounds. All right, you're going to go out in a kayak by yourself, right? Yeah. how many people have been in a canoe before? Okay. All right. Have you ever sterned a canoe before? No. You feel comfortable taking the stern in a canoe? No. Okay. Meaning one person in the back of the canoe will be in charge and we'll make sure the boat goes where you want it to go. So we'll have to divide into two different groups. Right now I think we can take eight people on the water, excluding yourself, at one time. We'll go out and then we'll come back and then take the other group up, okay? So one person will be kayaking. How many people have kayaked? Okay, a few of you, yeah. So we're not sending anybody out in a kayak by themselves, unless it's a AmeriCorps person, and then you can go out and be kind of safety launches and that sort of thing. We'll have two people in kayaks, one person in a kayak. Both of you have been in a kayak before?
Yeah.
Can one of you go in a two-person and be on the stern and have one of them in the front?
Sure.
Comfortable with that? Yeah. Okay. And then one of the others would be a kayak. All right. So I'm going to have to. How should I? Should I just start from one side? And
Yeah.
Okay. Take your own. So in a canoe with me is going to be 1, 2, and
Can you stand behind him?
yeah, and 3. All right? Yep. We're going to try to put 4 of us in the kayak, since you're a little lighter. And then where's Nick? Nick in the blue T-shirt. He's going to go in a canoe, or canoe, and it's going to be 1, 2, and
Line up.
3.
The moment you call out, please line up. Please line
All
up.
right, are you still interested in going out or
Here.
no? Okay. So the second group,
Line up.
second group that I said, right
Line
here.
up.
So when we go, you're going to go with Nick in the blue T-shirt. All right? You have to have a paddle, not one of these, but a paddle. All right? And you guys you have that. You have to get that away. You take this, and then that way another paddle. But okay, here, take that. Okay. And then who's going in the kayak? Can you grab a life jacket? And then assign one of you to a kayak and one of you to a two-person kayak. All right. You're in the canoe, right?
No, we're in the.
No, you're the second group I chose?
Yes. No, you haven't chosen.
Who's the one I said to go with the...
It's okay, pick it.
You're going to go in the canoe. So let's keep it simple now. You need a paddle. You need a paddle.
Okay, line up.
Paddle. You go over with
Guys.
Nick in the blue T-shirt. All right? You're going to go over to the second canoe. Green canoe over there. All right, ready? Me too? Wait, me too? Am I going to do that now? Yeah. And then you got a kayak paddle. And then have you go up? Who's going to go? Are you going to go up the kayak?
Yeah, I was just.
So we'll have to, I think what we'll have to do is, we're not going to be able to take everybody out right now.
That looks large but doesn't fit on a
Pull the strap.
yeah, pull both.
We're not going to be able to take everybody out right now anyway, so you haven't been assigned a right?
If it fits me, it should fit.
You take your life jacket?
These are medium-sized t-shirts, right?
You'll be in the second group. Sorry.
Don't give it away until you first try.
Boy Scout, that'd be great.
Put it on.
It's not.
paddling, just like boat for a second. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is like going to be comfortable compared to this.
I feel like I got the cool kids book. Is this the cool kids book? Yeah, this is the cool kids book. We're the coolest in the bunch.
Okay, if you Drew, if you want to sit on the bottom of the boat, it actually might be more comfortable, or like kneeling. You're gonna be more stable. That looks great.
It's already better.
That looks great. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay,
Is there a side with a seats or kind of split?
sure. Okay, hold on. Sorry, guys, paddle on the right side of the boat. Yep. Actually, no, never mind. Derek, we're not waiting for you. Hey guys, we're a little tippy right now.
Pull the strap. That's fine. Hop in and I'll push you up.
Whoever had
Just might have you come back. Hang on. There you go. We might be able to get hold of everybody else at the same time.
looking good out there.
Take me away.
How does it feel?
So
generally has nothing, we like listen. Frankly, if you ask him, what did I tell you? Well, I even remember, he was a very sharp memory. I think that's not, I think genes is which my dad does not have. And I think it was decide to love. Really decides to marry him and make him my grandchild will be like me. All that is possible.
Oh, look at this fish.
Like you just continue looking at your dad. You'll think it's something.